does a person get to be a Disney cast member at the happiest place on earth? We uncovered 10 strange requirements that may surprise you. Watch until the end to see what cast members are required to say to difficult and rude customers. It's pretty hilarious. New here? Subscribe to the Things channel to get our latest videos. If you love Disney theme parks as much as we do, click on the thumbs up button below. Now check out these 10 strange requirements to become a cast member at Disney theme parks. They must know everything. Did you know that Disney theme park cast members are not allowed to say the phrase, "I don't know"? It's true. If a guest asks a cast member a question, they are forbidden to utter the words, "I don't know." Instead, cast members must find a way to answer the question. They can do this by asking other cast members or searching until they find an answer. The intention behind this is to make sure guests are never lost and wandering aimlessly. It was important to Walt Disney that all guests be treated like royalty. Think of it. If the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland asked a question and heard "I don't know" as a response, it would be off with his head. Walt Disney was a pretty strict guy, but that diligence has resulted in the most magical places and adventures on Earth. This makes us want to find really hard questions to ask the cast members in the park. Like, why is the sky blue? What's the square root of 69,169? How many jelly beans are in this jar? If you answered "I don't know" to any of these questions, you may not be the right candidate for the job of a Disney theme park cast member. No tattoos allowed. This is actually a pretty common job requirement for certain types of gigs, but you would think Disney would want a few tattooed cast members to play swashbuckling pirates. There are so many creative types working for Disney, there have got to be a lot of covered-up tattoos around the theme parks. But we checked, and on the Disney Intern blog, there are strict requirements about tattoos. It states very clearly that visible tattoos are not permitted for costumed or non-costumed cast members. It explains that tattoos must be discreetly and completely covered at all times. It goes even further with strict rules about how to cover up tattoos. It states that the only methods permitted to conceal tattoos are clothing or makeup. Based on the role of the cast member, makeup may not be permitted at all. The rules say that when makeup is worn, it should be natural looking, so the tattoo and makeup are not noticeable. Cast members are expected to wear long-sleeve undershirts under their uniforms to cover arm tattoos. Not ideal for the summer months, but if you want to work at Disneyland or Disney World, it's what you've got to do. Sure, it makes sense. It would be weird to see Cinderella with a big tattoo on her arm. Turn that frown upside down. If you're a cast member at Disney theme parks, you'd better be ready to smile no matter what. That's because when you're on the clock and in front of the guests, frowning is absolutely forbidden. It doesn't matter how hot it is, how tired a cast member may be, and how they wish they were riding the rides instead of working. There is to be no frowning. None. Zilch. Imagine having to smile in the hot sun all day long. No matter what. Well, there are some exceptions. If the cast member is playing a villain, then scowling and growling is permitted, but in that fun Disney way, which is probably not very satisfying if you're in a bad mood. It's the happiest place on earth. It makes sense that guests wouldn't want to see their favorite princess with a big old pout on her face. It would ruin the magic, don't you think? So if you want to work for a Disney theme park, might we suggest that you practice your smile in the mirror for, about 8 hours, just to get an idea of what it would be like if you were working at the park. And put that frown away. You won't be needing it for a while. Princess training and grooming. Disney princesses are just one type of what they call a face character at the theme park. The term face character refers to any character who wears makeup and shows his or her face, rather than a costume with a giant head. Many of these face character actors have already had years of dance training, such as tap, jazz, and ballet. They also have considerable acting skills. Characters with an accent, like Mary Poppins, Wendy, or Alice, have to take a full day of dialect training to get the accents just right. The characters' voices are oftentimes higher than the actor's normal speaking voice. So, some actors have to go on vocal rest to give their vocal cords some time to heal after a long day speaking in a character's voice. Then there's the grooming part. When an actress who plays a Disney princess arrives to work, she is put in a makeup chair, where a professional cosmetologist does her makeup and fits her for a wig. Some actresses play more than one character, so they may need to change it out during their shift. The wigs and costumes are kept there and cleaned and styled every couple of days. Being a princess is a lot of work. No smoking, chewing gum, pointing, or breaking character. If you haven't figured it out by now, Disney has a lot of very strict rules in place to keep the magic alive in the Magic Kingdom. It seems obvious that the cast members are not allowed to smoke, and it's really a no-brainer that they wouldn't be allowed to chew gum. In fact, there is no gum even sold anywhere in the park, not anywhere. That's because when people spit their gum on the sidewalk, it makes dark marks on the sparkling pavement. It's very difficult to clean up and kind of ruins the polished look and feel of the park. But here's a strange rule. Cast members are not allowed to point with their index finger. They're required to use 2 fingers when giving directions. There are a couple of reasons for this rule. In other countries, it's considered very offensive when people point with their index finger. Also, many people talk about the fact that Walt always used to point with 2 fingers, so it's kind of a tribute to Mr. Walt Disney himself. The next time you visit Disneyland or Disney World, watch the cast members and you'll see for yourself. They call this the Disney point. They are also not allowed to break character. Not ever. All character cast members must undergo an intense audition process. If you want to audition for the role of Disney theme park characters, get ready to spend a whole day auditioning. According to a recruiter for the Disney College program, hopefuls should plan on spending 1 to 6 hours on the audition process. The first round of cuts is based on the height of the actors. Then they have the remaining candidates do a bunch of improv exercises. One potential employee was asked to pretend to be Eeyore, then Winnie the Pooh, and even a pregnant cheerleader. That's a pretty strange request, don't you think? More cuts are made during the improv portion of the auditions. Then the would-be face characters are asked to line up so the recruiters and judges can see how much they look like the actual Disney characters. They are asked to smile. If they don't fit the right look, they are dismissed. After that, the candidates must learn a combination of dance steps in what they call the animation process of the auditions. Then they are sent to hair and makeup. After they are dressed in their wigs and costumes, they are coached on what each of their characters should sound like. They must read a small script imitating the character's voice and dialect. If they pass all that, they get the job. Signature training. During the training process, Disney character cast members are required to watch the movies and shows of the characters they will be portraying to learn how they move and speak. Then they have to practice making the same movements, vocal patterns, and dialect and mannerisms. Once they have all the movement and vocal training nailed down, they have another interesting training they must go through. It's called signature training. If you've been to the theme parks, chances are you've seen kids walking around with autograph books. And you've probably seen the characters signing these autograph books. Well, they are not allowed to just sign any old way. Each character has their own unique signature that the performers must learn and master before signing their first autograph. There are strategic designs that are applied to each character's signature. For instance, Pluto's signature makes a dog paw out of the O in his name. Minnie Mouse dots her eyes with hearts. The Mad Hatter draws a little hat in his signature. And I bet all of us know the classic handwriting of our pal, Mickey Mouse. Imagine how hard it might be to sign anything well in those big furry costumes. Kudos to you, Disney cast members. Cast members must be able to think on their feet. There are pros and cons to being a furry character versus a face character. Face characters don't have to sweat it out in those heavy costumes, and they're allowed to talk and sing. But furry characters are not allowed to use their voices at all. They are not allowed to talk or sing. You may have heard them make a kissing sound when they blow kisses to guests, but that's about the extent of the noise they are allowed to make with their mouths. Face characters have challenges that are a little different. Yes, they get to interact with kids without that big head in the way, but they really have to think on their feet. Many curious kids have difficult questions, and they expect their favorite Disney characters to have answers. And you remember the rule that they're not allowed to say, "I don't know," right? Then there are the more awkward moments. Like when kids learned at school that Pocahontas passed away a long time ago, yet she is standing right in front of a bunch of kids at Disney World. Apparently during a meet and greet with the Native American princess, a little British kid walked up to the Pocahontas character and said that his class just visited her grave last year. Awkward. Magical trash pickup. In order to keep your job as a cast member at Disney's theme parks, you must be prepared to pick up any trash you see on the ground at all times. The happiest place on earth cannot have dirty streets, but you mustn't pick up like a typical peasant would. Oh no, there is a technique that is taught to cast members for picking up trash. Rather than just stooping or squatting down to grab an old churro wrapper, the cast member must do what is called a graceful swoop and scoop motion. We are wondering how much of their training is dedicated to this maneuver. There is also another rule that cast members must stay immersed in all things Disney while at work in the park. Of course, they must stay in character at all times when visible to the public eye. But according to Business Insider, they are also not allowed to make any references to pop culture that exists outside the Disney universe. So that means no discussions about the NFL or the Kardashians. Unless it's in the world of Disney, cast members can't talk about it while working in the parks. Everything that the cast does and says must be graceful, magical, and exist only within the realm of Disney. Secret codes. One major requirement to work as a cast member at Disney theme parks is to use secret codes. Cast members have to be very careful when communicating with each other. This has also kept the magic alive inside the kingdom walls. For example, Disney cast members are not allowed to say that they play certain characters. This would destroy the fantasy. Instead, the cast members are only allowed to say that they are friends with that particular character or that they hung out with that character. Then there's the matter of cleaning up unpleasant messes. If a child gets sick on a ride or has an accident, the cast members use the phrase Code V. You can probably guess what the V stands for. And sometimes kids get separated from their families. When a cast member encounters this problem, they say they have a lost adult whom they must find. This is apparently for safety reasons, so you'll never hear a cast member say lost child. When a cast member has had their fill with a difficult guest, they'll say the phrase have a Disney day. That might be the nicest way we've ever heard to give someone a piece of your mind. And those are the 10 strange requirements to become a cast member at Disney theme parks. We hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.